I have no idea if someone's here already. I have no idea if you can hear me. I'm just going to take a couple minutes to set up. Okay, maybe we're live now. Right, I'm just going to take a couple minutes to try and set things up. If you hear comment, because I'll say hello anyway, I'm going to try and share the live stream everywhere it was meant to be shared before the great big kerfuffle of YouTube not liking me as usual. Okay. Oh, that's good. I can do this. I can do this. Okay. It'll just be a couple seconds. Can you guys hear me, by the way? If there's anyone there, just say hello and let me know that you can actually hear me. I've got a tiny little microphone. And hopefully that means that people can hear. Alright, let's share to Twitter. Some of you guys on, oh good, it says yes we can hear. Awesome. Some of you guys were saying some things I could talk about before the live or while we're waiting for people to come in. There are some very good suggestions, so I'll get onto those in just a minute too. Okay, we've shared on Twitter. At least I can see you guys now, so that's nice. I can see Caitlin. Hello, Caitlin. Stephanie. Hello, Stephanie. I saw Peggy earlier, I think. Right, let's share to... Where else are we sharing? Oh, Discord. Discord peeps need to know. I told them I would share. Some of the suggestions were things like what sort of research have you done for books that was interesting and or weird. Quite honestly, a lot of the research I do is weird. It's not necessarily for books, however. Quite honestly, a lot of it is just because I was like, this is interesting, or YouTube recommends something, and then I fall down a rabbit hole and spend about 4 or 5 hours just exhaustively going through all the videos on that. So that is always very, very interesting. I think the first time I did a really big deep dive like that on YouTube especially was there was this video. I don't know why they recommended it to me unless somebody out there thinks I'm not a real lady, because it was something like the School of Affluence, how to look like a high quality lady or a high value lady or something like that, and I live tweeted about it, but that got me into researching the world of sugar babies, and that was at the same time terrifying and very, very interesting. So that's one of the things that I was researching. It was not for a book, it was just because I was like, what is this? How is this happening? How do people behave like this? And yeah, so I got to see a lot of that. We got a few more people now. I can see Susan. Hello, Susan. Hi, Maria. Hi, Leanne. Becca. Hey, AC. I see that you're awake now after your second jab. I heard that it can be a little bit that the COVID vaccination, the first and second shots, can both be a little bit tiring, which is why in our household we've decided we're going to stagger them, or at least that was the plan last I checked, because my mum tends to get sick quite easily, and I often get sick quite easily too, so we figure if one person's sick at a time, far easier to look after it. Hi, Kimberly. Hello, Peggy. Thank you for saying I'm gorgeous and about my makeup and hair. I did my makeup specially this morning. I usually don't do makeup at all. In fact, I think you guys are the ones who see my made up face more often than anyone, because if I am going to put on makeup, it's usually because I'm doing a live with you guys, and half the time I don't bother anyway. It's just occasionally it's nice to be able to to use the things I have hiding away in the cupboard. So yeah, that's always fun. Okay, I shared on Discord, I shared on Twitter. Better let Instagram people know that we're up and running. I tried to let the YouTube people know, but there are so many things I did not know about YouTube, guys. I am learning a lot, and it's very, very difficult for me, so right. We'll share on to Instagram and then I will be done. By the way, feel free to start asking questions if you have any questions and I will get to them. Otherwise, I will talk about a few things that I was asked about, as well as the fact that I feel like, oh, what am I? I'm 34 this year. I'm 34 this year, guys. I'm getting old. So I feel like it's now is the time to start planning my midlife crisis. I feel like this is a really good time to be working out what I want to do for my midlife crisis, because if I can plan it, then I can save up a bit of money so I can do some stuff I really want to do. So I thought I might schedule it for my cousin's wedding because I'll be going away for that, provided that COVID doesn't explode again. I figured that was a good time to jump out of a plane attached to somebody wearing a parachute. So yeah, I'm at the moment in the middle of planning my midlife crisis. So if you have any ideas, let me know, guys. I'm open. All right, we have shared on Instagram as well. Well, nearly. Now we have. So I think that's all the platforms I've got to let people know that things are happening. Right, so we can get to some questions. But yeah, this is me deciding that I need to get with it and start planning for my midlife crisis. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe not for the bystanders, but it certainly is going to be for me. Maybe I can make it fun for everyone else on the way. Who knows? Susan's asking, what inspired you to learn Korean? I am a very, what's the word? If you're American, you might say ornery. My grandmother always said I was dirty-livered. It just basically means that I want to do stuff I'm not supposed to do, or stuff that is difficult and people are like, no, it's not really worth it. I sort of want to do it. And I've also always been interested in languages, but I find that a lot of the English adjacent languages, all the things with like Germanic roots or any of the early English roots and that sort of thing, they're so similar. And anything that's even Latin based is so similar that it's kind of easy to learn, and so it's not much of a challenge, even though it's fun. So that sort of stuff I can do for fun. But when I first saw, I think I watched something on Netflix, I think it was actually a K-drama. Normally if I watch something in another language, I can pick up quite a lot. I can pick up words here and there as well as expressions, and I start to get an idea for the flow of the language. When I started watching that show, and this is where the orneriness comes in, I realized I couldn't do that. I could pick up like a word or two on the outsides, like the what or the yes or the no, but because the sentence structure is so totally different, I couldn't do what I would normally do and pick up the flow of it and the words of it and just little bits here and there that I knew what they meant by context. So because I'm an ornery sort of a person, I was like, well, I have to learn this one then, because this is interesting and weird and difficult to get along with. And, you know, it's like, this is my people. So basically that was my introduction to Korean, and that is pretty much exactly why I started to learn Korean. It's like, I'm not going to let this language do this to me. I am going to figure it out. Plus, the sound of it is really nice. I started learning Japanese in school. I absolutely abhorred the sound of it. I really disliked the sound of Japanese. That, along with a lot of other things, means that I struggle to watch anime. But that has a lot more to do with content and tropes in anime than it does the language. But The Sound of Korean, I really, really loved it. It's a little bit like the Asian version of Italian, I guess, which is also a very soothing language for me to listen to. Hi to Heather. Caitlin says me too, but I can't remember what she's saying me too, so I'm glad to have the agreement even if I don't understand. Karen asks, what are your thoughts on nose piercings? I love nose piercings. I think they look fantastic. My mother has always been really, really tempted to get one of those really little cute, sort of goldy ones. One of these days she might do it. She's probably, I was going to say, she's obviously older than me, but she's still not having her midlife crisis, so maybe she's waiting for that. Who knows? I love them. I would not get one because I can only imagine how annoying it would be every time I blow my nose. And because I get seasonal allergies, as well as catch colds just ridiculously easily, I think that would be more annoying than I could put up with. I do like the look of them though. I also like, you know, slightly different placings for piercings. I will hopefully maybe get one about here in the near future. I've been wearing an ear cuff lately to see how it works because I'm a very, I nearly said very bigly. That's not a phrase. I'm very much into music while I write. And because I don't always write at home and I write out and about, I wear earphones a lot. So I wanted to make sure it didn't interfere with my listening pleasure because I get headaches and earaches very quickly from poorly fitting earbuds. So yeah, I've been wearing a cuff and so far it's not been too bad. If I wear a really big one, it definitely gives me an earache with the earbud in there as well. However, if I wear a regular size one, it doesn't, and I think it looks awesome. I love it. So basically, slightly alternative piercings that aren't just in very weird places, I tend to like a lot. Nose piercings, definitely, I think they look really cute. I think I'm not the right person to have one. Chris says, if you're old, I'm old. We're all old. We're old. We're old souls. We read books. We've lived 1,000 lives. We're all old souls. Jackie says that I look beautiful. Thank you, Jackie. And asks, will we see the neighbor from the watermelon short again? Yes, you will. I was trying to work her properly into book 8, and she is in book 8, but the story doesn't take place. Wow, we're doing the spoonerisms today. Okay, the story doesn't take place until I think either midway between book 8 and 9 or somewhere during book 9. So she will appear in book 8. You'll know that it's her, but you won't see a huge amount of her until probably book 9, and then it won't be a huge lot. She'll be like a lot of the adjacent characters. She'll pop in, she'll say hello, and you'll know who she is and why she's there. So yeah. Karen says that she's a year older, and does that mean she's ancient? Yeah, as above, we're all ancient. If you're a reader, you're ancient anyway. And Chris is asking, people plan their midlife crises? I thought it happened like a train wreck. Yeah, that's how it's meant to happen, I believe. I believe you're meant to just sort of fall into it or go into it blind. I like to plan a little bit so that I can have the most effective midlife crisis possible. So that's what works for me. So I might try and plan it a little bit. We'll see. AC says that 34 is not old. And Susan says that 34 is not midlife and that I need another decade. But what if I die at 70? Then that's midlife. Becca says that I'm describing Pet right now. Yeah, there is some overlap between myself and between Pet. There is definitely some overlap there. Obviously there is with all of my characters. I'm the one writing them, so they're going to have some similarities, but Pet is in a lot of ways very, very similar to me. Yeah, Karen's just said that midlife at 34 means you're expecting to keel over before 70 and that's not cool. She wants to be eagerly awaiting my every new release well into my 90s and that I can retire when I'm dead. That's the plan. Actually, I don't think I'd ever stop writing, even when I get very, very extremely old and have more grey hairs than the ones that are currently hiding underneath the hairspray. Yeah, I will be writing and writing. I don't think I could stop even if I wanted to. So, yeah, that's unlikely to happen. Esther is very happy for more Julia. Stephanie says she bought a banjo for her midlife crisis. Well, yes, she also says she has 4 young children, so life crisis adventures are limited at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. I don't have kids, so it's a lot easier for me to freely have a midlife crisis without worrying about the fallout. If I was looking after little people, then I would be somewhat limited as well. I probably also wouldn't go to jump out of a plane. So we'll see if I can bring myself to do it anyway. I want to, but yeah. I had some questions that people asked before. I'm just trying to find them. Somebody did suggest that as part of the chuntering while people are thinking of questions that I could read what I've got of book 8 and tell you in detail what's going to happen in books 9 and 10. But yeah, that's no. It was very well done. She said that maybe if she's authoritative enough, that I'd just go along with it. And you never know. But yeah, not this time. One of these days, I might have to figure out how to do a reading of or a YouTube video to turn the shorts into audio, but I'm not entirely convinced that I am able to do that. So, not in terms of that I don't have the technical know-how. My technical know-how is limited, but I do have enough to be able to do that. I just don't know if I have the reading aloud skills. So, yeah, that might or might not happen. We'll see how it goes. Caitlin is saying that sounds like a good suggestion to her and that I should read book 8. Yeah, no. And Ash, is it Ash or Ashy? It'd be Ash, wouldn't it? In Australia, it's always Ash, so I'm never quite sure. Says that that's too many spoilers, so yeah, you wouldn't want to have spoilers, would you? Hello, Jacqueline. Jacqueline says that she's so excited to actually watch one of these lives. Oh, yes. She also says in one of my videos that I recommended Leverage and that she loves it. And and so thank you. Yes, it's such an amazing show. If you guys haven't watched it, please watch Leverage and then go and watch the English version of that, which is Hustle. They're both completely different. I love them both in completely different ways. Leverage is definitely my favorite, but there's a harder edge to Hustle. But Hustle taught me a lot of things that I actually use in my books as well. So it's very, very useless. Useless? No, useful. Jacqueline also asks, in behind contracts, do you have to put your real name like the one that Pet has with Zero and Atlas? No, you don't. Usually for stuff like that, either a handshake or or an X, so long as it's you doing it, that's the binding of it. Because Fae don't always go by their real names anyway, that's not the sort of thing that they worry too much about. Just the actual fact that you've put your X there or your thumbprint or, whatever it may be, that means that, yeah, you're bound by that, and there's some magic that will adhere to that and make it very extremely hard to break that contract. A lot of people saying here that Jacqueline's question is a good one. It is a good one. I don't always get to elaborate all these sorts of things in the books because obviously limited space, but also sometimes I will write the world and have all these things in the back of my mind, but they don't specifically get said. So it just makes a construct by which I can form the world and write the world and put it out there without actually saying everything necessarily that goes along with it. By the way, talking about recommendations, it was, I think, 2 days ago that Susanna Roundtree's The Werewolf of Whitechapel came out. You should definitely go read it. It's Gaslamp, and I got to read, I think, maybe the second iteration of it. I've got the regular version now too, but my goodness, it is fun. Also, if you read in the front of it, you will see a dedication to a certain Australian author that you might recognise. So you should definitely check that out. Also, Inisa Kanani's put out her Theft of Sunlight now. I also got to read that one in something like its third or fourth iteration before it got published. And my goodness, you know how she writes with all the heart and the knife edge at the end and, you know, all the feelings. Yeah, it's that, but with a different character. And it does have rather a gut-wrenching ending, but I'm really looking forward to seeing where she takes the books after that. So those are my two recommendations for booky sort of stuff, apart from Leverage. But please go watch Leverage. It's one of the best shows. It's my comfort watch whenever I feel just blah and not wanting to do anything or watch anything but want to be cheered up. Leverage cheers me up every single time. Not only is the writing excellent, the dialogue and the chemistry between the characters is just beautifully well done. Absolutely well done. Jamie says that I'll read it for you. Yeah, one of these days I'll have to send them out to someone and be like, yeah, can you read this for me, because it's too tiring for me to read my own work. And Ash says, yes, it's Ash. Awesome, I got it right. Jamie's asking, will we see the bat in book 8, the thing pet set free? Not book 8. It's not exactly a bat, but I'm not exactly sure what you call it anyway. Big Ears anyway. His name's Big Ears. You'll definitely see them again. Oh boy. Guys, I've got some spam in my comments. How interesting. This is the first time. My goodness. Oh, this is the first time this deserves a shout out. Somebody's telling one of you guys to text or message someone on WhatsApp to get $5,000 in the Cash App and that they're legit. Wow. I feel so seen. Right, let's delete that. It seems very legit. I'll definitely believe that. Wow, this person's messaged a few of you. Let's delete those. And if I see another one, I will just block. Yeah, let's just block this person. He's replying to everybody. Wow, sorry guys. I had no idea this was an actual thing. Wow, I feel so important now. I'm being spammed in my live stream. Yay. Let's delete that one. Okay, that should hopefully sort these out. Wow, this dude is very, very busy. And he's apparently very, very legit. Okay, let's get back to that question. Yes, you will see Big Ears again. Not in book 8, but he has a part to play in either 9 or 10. I think it's book 10 though. I think book 9 will be a little bit early for what I need to do with the plot. Karen wants to know what kind of behind kind would I be? Oh, that one's actually really hard. I kind of think I'd be a Selkie, maybe. But there's so many cool things I could be. But I do like Selkies. It's just a little bit dangerous to be a Selkie, what with the skin coming off thing and maybe not being able to get back to the water. So who knows? Maybe a Selkie? I'm going to tentatively say Selkie. Courtney asks, what's my favourite Diana Wynne Jones book? That's really hard because I have a lot of really, really favourite Diana Wynne Jones ones. I have like a top 3-ish. There's Hexwood, which is just amazing and I adore it. There's Changeover, which is one of her less well-known ones, and Dog's Body. And those 3 I absolutely adore. I do love more of hers. House Moving Castle is really high up on the list, but there's just something about Hexwood and Dog's Body and Changeover that's just a little bit different from her normal, or maybe just more of her than usual. So I don't know exactly what it is, but I do know that I really, really love those particular ones, and I'm not entirely sure why. But yeah, I love them a lot. Uh, I forgot how to say your name again. I'm sorry. Is it Neus or Neus? Ah, wow. I did say it right once, or you told me how to say it right once. I'm sorry. Um, she says that she's remembering a lot of fairy stories that are based on the power of true names, and that spirit away from the top of her head. So yeah, that's a really big thing in a lot of the Fae stuff. In a lot of the Fae stuff, power of name is a really, really big thing. I take a lot of inspiration from traditional fairy things. So yeah, that's definitely part of that, and I've definitely been taking stuff from the older fairy stories. So yeah, that's a thing. I'm just seeing all the comments about Jack. It took me a while to see him, so yes, sorry guys. I've honestly never had that happen before. I did not know that was a thing. I did not know people could do it. So yeah, thanks for reporting that, guys. Esther says, "You've gotten famous enough for spam. Woohoo." Yeah. Yay. Oh my goodness. So I guess that person is not a person but a bot, I'm guessing. Um yeah, maybe. Who knows? Um Esther says, "We haven't met any Selkies in City Between yet, right? Are behind Selkies anything like Lady of Weeds Selkies or completely different?" They'd be fairly similar. They're adjacent to merfolk, but more chancy and chaotic, I guess. So they'd be fairly similar to the Lady of Weeds ones in being dangerous, but I don't think they'd be maybe quite as vicious as the Lady of Weeds ones, I think. Yeah. Oh, Joanna says it would be fun to see an illustrated book of Behind Kind. Yes, unfortunately, I cannot draw. I mean, I can draw a little bit, but only based on what other people have already done. So I can see a picture and I can draw it and copy it. So if that happens, it definitely won't be me doing the drawings. But I would like to one day commission something like that so that I could do like the Behind Kind book, maybe one of Zero's books, the Behind Kind book, or guide to recognizing different species, that sort of thing. Maybe I could do that. I should try that one day. In the meantime, I'm a little bit busy trying to get the rest of the series out. I want to have it completely finished by this year. So as soon as that's done and I'm working on other books, I'm hoping to have some time to work on doing adjacent stuff like, bestiaries or just Behind Kind out in the wild and things like that. I also have to get together all the shorts in order, and get them together into a book, which will be called Between Friends. I've got the cover for it already. I just have to write a few more little short stories for that to go into it. Caitlin wants to know, can we get a novella for Rafik, please? I really love Rafik. He was one of my favourite characters. He appears in the Shards of a Broken Sword trilogy in the middle book. Technically speaking, that they're only novellas or slightly longer novella lengths. So, oh, I might do it one day as just an extra thing, because I don't want to disturb the completeness of the trilogy too much. But yeah, I think out of all of them, that's probably the one that would be easiest to do without disturbing the continuity and the completeness of the Shards of the Broken Sword one, since it's never completely finalized, I guess, with their story. So yeah. Jacqueline is asking, do Fae not need to sleep at all, or do they only sleep like 2 hours a night? Yeah, it's something like that. They only sleep a couple of hours a night. They can get by for several days without sleeping, but they're more healthy if they do get their like 2 to 4 hours sleep a night. They're just sort of a little bit stronger than humans in that, and they need less sleep to be able to function. So yeah, a couple of days without sleep, they'll be fine, but to be at full health, 2 to 4 hours of sleep a night is ideal. But if they're getting recharged by going to water sources, moving water sources, then there's less need for the sleep. So that works out. Anna asks, are there any more fairy tales like the Two Monarchy series in the works? Yes. At the moment, I have two that I'm working on, apart from, well, they're sort of on hold at the moment while I finish up Between Decisions. I don't know if you're subscribed to my newsletter, but if you are, I've been releasing a chapter of Cinderella Must Die, most newsletters. So that one's very obviously, I guess, based on Cinderella. I'm also writing a retelling of a sort of novella length retelling of Rapunzel called, what's her name? Gothel and the Maiden Prince, that will come out later this year in conjunction with a few other books that have similar ideas behind them. So yeah, Rapunzel and Cinderella are next on the list. I will eventually do a Peter Pan retelling as well. I've been meaning to do that for quite some time now, and I have the idea. I just haven't really gotten the time to sit down and set it on the page. So I do have to do that. I've been wanting to do it for years and like literally years. So hopefully we'll get onto that soon. I don't think I'm ever going to stop writing fairy tales or rewriting fairy tales. I enjoy them too much. They're a lot of fun. As a writer and as a person, I guess, one of the joys to me is taking the accepted rules and tropes and using them to create something that is entirely outside of the rules and tropes. It makes me very extremely happy. So rewriting fairy tales is prime real estate for me in terms of it has all the things I like to do. I just want to be able to balance it with my with the urban fantasy that I still want to be writing, and the little bit of science fiction that I also enjoy writing, because the time travelers are still favorites of mine, and I want to write more about them as well. Courtney asks, can you explain a little bit more of the world that Cinderella Must Die is like? How many different stories in this world are you thinking of doing? Gothel and the Maiden Prince will also be set in the same world as Cinderella Must Die. I can't explain. I don't think I can explain too much about the world just yet, because I'm still forming it, so to speak. So as I write, I'm finding more about it. So I might be able to explain a bit more about it once I've finished the two books, and then I'll have a really good idea, because I'm writing them in tandem. I'm still discovering things as I go that won't necessarily be finalized until both books are finished. So I don't want to say too much about it in case I say something really wrong or that ends up being not useful that I have to get rid of, and then I end up confusing everyone. So maybe bring that question back at the end of the year when both of those books are published, and I think that'll work really, really well, because that'd be a fun question to get into. Ash says, will there be any between spin-offs after I finish the series? Yes. I'm planning on a spin-off series of 5 books. In fact, I have the titles for them all written down. I can't tell you who it's going to... I'm trying to find these titles so I can at least tell you that. I just don't want to tell you who the main characters will be, because that would be sort of slightly slightly spoilers, I guess. So I'm seeing if I can find these notes. I have a million notes in my little oh, there it is, in my little notes app. So yeah, I I wrote them all there. The first one will be a whisker behind. The second will be behind closed doors. The third will be wet behind the ears. Fourth, behind the eight ball, and fifth, no man left behind. So I've got all the titles ready for them. And I have the sort of overarching themes and plot that I want to do with that. In fact, it's been really hard not starting to write those books as well, because I need to finish the main series first, and I want to make sure I do it the best way I possibly can. So I'm trying really hard not to let myself be distracted by the shiny new spin-off series that will definitely be coming out after this one. Esther says, will we all buy Between Friends even though we'll probably already have read all the shorts? Of course we will. At least then you'll be able to have the paperback as well, hopefully. Hopefully. Only some of the shorts are actually available to buy at the moment, but all the rest, if you're looking for them, they're on my blog under the tab CB Shorts, except for Watermelon in the Moonlight, which is separately in a blog post for some reason, because I don't know why, because I am not good at thinking things through. I will try and add that at some stage so that they're all together. Kimberly asks, how soon do I think that you'll be able to see a book for Cinderella Must Die? It was actually meant to be out by now. Some life things happened and made it really, really hard for me to keep working at the rate I was working at. So, as some of you guys know, we had a death in the family, and I had surgery, and so things took a little bit of a backseat. So I actually pushed that one back all the way until toward the end of the year, so that I've got a chance to not just finish writing it, but really go over it and do a proper second draft so that I'm happy with how it's sitting, because there are some things I need to adjust in there. So I reckon that one will be toward the end of the year. I might make it my December release maybe, because I'm planning on having the month of December off. I have some plans for December, but I have to wait and see if I can actually do any of them. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Becca asks, have I read Megan Wyland Turner's Queen's Thief series, and that her writing is very sneaky and clever, a lot like mine? Thank you. I think I've read the first, but I read it when I was much, much younger. And at the time, I didn't appreciate it. I'm like about 90% sure that if I read it now, I'll absolutely adore it. So I've been meaning to actually dip back into that. I would like to check it out. I've heard a lot about it, and from the bits that I actually remember of it, it's something I'll definitely like now. It was just when I was younger, I couldn't enjoy it as much, or maybe it was just a stage in my life that I couldn't enjoy that so much. Heather says that the twisting tropes is what she loves about my writing. Yeah, that's the fun part. That's the bit I enjoy as well. I told you guys I'm ornery and obstreperous. I like causing trouble and being annoying. Danny asks, when you listen to music while writing, does the writing reflect the mood of the music, or do you listen to whatever you're in the mood for? And after listening to It Evaporates, she can't help but wonder if someone's going to be heartbroken and crying in the shower. There. So if I'm in the mood for something in particular, I'll listen to that. Like at the moment, because I'm writing the City Between series, I listen to the Sweet Home soundtrack almost on repeat. That and Taj's Winter Storm, because they fit really, 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 really well with the mood. So in that sense, it does reflect, but it's more a conscious choice rather than I'm feeling affected by the music and so my writing becomes affected in this way and this happens. However, my usual go-to playlist is the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtracks, the first four of them. And in general, if I'm making a last push to finish off a book, that's what I'll listen to regardless of what book it is. That has changed to Sweet Home soundtrack with this particular series, but that's not really very surprising considering it does have the exact right feel for what I'm trying to do. Um, TV Girl, who did It Evaporates, have so many amazing songs. I have a couple I can't listen to as well because they tend to every now and then use the Lord's name in vain, which I just can't. I don't want to listen to that. So there's some I don't listen to, but a lot of them I really, really love. And if I'm just feeling happy and enjoying my writing, regardless of whatever I'm writing, I'll quite often listen to the TV Girl playlist that I've got. And It Evaporates is one of my. I know this sounds weird, but it's actually one of my happy songs. It makes me feel very, very happy and content. So I know that it's about sad stuff, and about, where does love go when it's over, and that it evaporates. But it feels really happy to me. I actually really, really love that song. Susan says that she wants to see North and Twatu solving crimes. Yeah, they would make a really good spin-off. But they'd have to do something like a lesser police procedural and more a legal procedural. And that would involve me having to actually set down laws and rules for between and behind, which I could do and which would be very interesting to do, and I might in fact one day do, but perhaps might be a little bit difficult, considering what I want to do with the spin-off series. So yeah, maybe I can do another spin-off series. I think there will be a few. There's definitely going to be this one that I'm doing. I'm really looking forward to doing it. But yeah, I might try and do a couple more spin-offs after that, and do like limited run type ones. Like instead of being the 10 books that the main series is, just like a 5-book run or a trilogy run of a spin-off, and see how it works. My main cover designer, who does the covers for The City Between, is sort of semi-retiring, so I won't actually have her for very much longer. I'll have her for just long enough to finish off the series main covers. So I've already contacted someone else to do the spin-off covers, but they will look a little bit differently, so at least they'll be able to be differentiated a little bit. I'm hoping that works out well anyway. Feel free, we've run out of questions at the moment, so feel free to pop anything you can think of. I'm gonna scroll back. No, I'm gonna go back to what people were asking about before. What sort of things have you been researching for books? And again, when I do research for books, it's not usually that weird. It's just stuff like, when did Australia first produce license on them and stuff like that. So apart from how long does it take a body to decay in these circumstances, so there's stuff like that. But what's very useful for me is there's a YouTube channel called Ask a Mortician, and besides the fact that she has the most gorgeously plummy voice to listen to, she has lots of really useful stuff on her channel. So even when it's not for research, I just like to look at her channel and see what she writes, not writes about, see what she talks about. She goes through a lot of really interesting topics. She also goes through some famous corpses and stuff like that. So yeah, she's fun. Another thing I've been looking at a lot is, okay, so you guys know that I'm divorced. I was sort of pushed to try and get into like dating groups or dating apps by a couple of friends a year or two ago, and I was very vehemently against it because that is not a comfortable place for me. I get anxious if I have too many messages that I haven't replied to, and I can only imagine what a nightmare that would be. So I don't want to be on dating apps, but I am so curious, so curious about the kind of people who are And so a lot of my YouTube time in the last, oh, through the end of last year, I think it was, it's less now because I've already seen a lot. It's There's a whole subsection of videos on YouTube about people just signing up to dating apps and just the weird things that happen and the weird things that people feel themselves free to say to other people on the internet in a dating sort of context. So, yeah, I don't want to be on them, but I am very, very curious. So, I spent like 3 or 4 weeks just randomly going through different people's videos about their adventures on dating apps and reading a whole lot of articles about them. And it's never going to be useful. Like it's never going to be useful for me. But it's a lot of fun. So yeah, this is the sort of thing that I research about, and yeah, not particularly useful. There's another dude on YouTube called Wendigoon, and the first video of his I watched was about the disturbing movies Iceberg, which I sort of can't exactly recommend because some of the topics and the things they go through are, well, they're disturbing. It's a disturbing movie Iceberg. But it was very interesting. And I'm now partway through watching his religion and cult Iceberg explained, which has been very, very interesting so far. I think I'm about halfway through it. I only stopped last night because I needed to sleep and get up early enough to be able to meet you guys. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I find things like that. So I'll find really interesting channels, and then I'll watch all of their stuff, and then I have to subscribe and wait for them to upload every week, which is a little bit sad. But I tend to listen to or watch stuff like that while I do a jigsaw and things like that. So it works out well for me. Kimberly says that she met her husband on a dating app and they've been together for 10 years and married for 2. That's amazing. I know there's people out there it works for. Like, there are people who really get along well, really well with dating apps. I tried, it wasn't a dating app. I was looking for Korean language partners. So I went on an app called Meef. It's meant to be for making friends for different languages to be able to, just message, because in my enthusiasm to get more conversation, which I needed because conversation is my worst facet of Korean learning. I can read and write quite well. My listening is not too bad, but the hardest thing for me to do is speak. So I was like, yes, I'll be enthusiastic. I will go out and I will make friends online and I will talk to them. And I completely forgot that I start feeling stressed as soon as I get messages from people I don't know. And that stress just ratchets up and up and up and up and up and up. For every day that I'm like, I will answer it tomorrow, I promise. So yeah. So that was an interesting experience. I didn't get any of the terrifying experiences that I've heard a lot of people have gotten through apps like that. So that's good. I did have some weird blokes on there, but not as weird as what I've heard. I think I'm not. Well, for a start, if you're on a dating app and you try and match with shirtless blokes, you're probably not going to get good replies. So I strictly avoided all those. I actually just looked for female profiles because I actually wanted to talk to somebody and learn how to, speak in a better way. So yeah, that was my main experience on an app that was not a dating app, but also it had that kind of a feel to it. So it sort of solidified my idea that I will never be a person who goes on dating apps because, yeah, it's just not where I feel comfortable. I mean, for the last 3 years, I knew I wasn't ready to date anyway. And even now that I'm starting to think that it might be possible, I don't think I'll do it that way. I really don't think I'll do it that way. If I actually do it at all, which is, you know, is not impossible that I could just live the rest of my life like this. I think I could be perfectly happy doing this. So yeah, yeah, I don't think they're for me. But I know that some people have had really good experiences with them, and I've heard of people who've had long-lasting and fruitful relationships from them. So I know they definitely work for some people. I just think I'm not the right kind of person for those apps. Becca says that researching things that are not particularly useful is her favorite thing. Me too. It's just fun to learn stuff. Like, it's just fun to know that there's that thing out there that you will never conceivably use. You will never have a reason to know it or to find that knowledge useful, but you know that that's a beautiful and weird thing that is out there somewhere in the world, and it changes your perspective just a very tiny little bit. I love that so much. Jamie asks, will the setting ever change for all 10 books in the series, or will they all be in the house? Um, they're mostly all in the house in terms of that's their base of operations. And although I meant for them to go visit Melbourne and or Korea, it actually didn't end up working out that way for the plots. So that's fine. The trials will be a little bit different. For most of book 10, I very much doubt Pet will be able to get home. So that will change a little bit for book 10. The rest of the books will probably stay much the same in terms of Pet's house being home base. Esther says, random curiosity, do you watch any Korean Englishman Jolly? My books and their videos were the reason that she started trying to learn Korean. Yes, I have. I used to watch the Yongguk Namja like most times when it came out, just because I would do fun stuff and it was a good way to practice my listening. Because people who speak the Korean as a second language, I'll speak it a bit slower, which is great for my listening. But also, Jolly was fun to watch just because I have a cousin exactly like him, where okay, no, Jolly is a little bit more desperately trying, chaotically trying to learn, and just nothing sticking, and I find that delightful to watch. Because he obviously needs a completely different type of learning experience than what he's being given and that works for everyone else. But he's trying so desperately, and I find that adorable and hilarious. I really enjoyed watching those. But my cousin does much the same thing. But instead of asking questions because he's genuinely interested and trying to learn in a way that he's not being taught, my cousin would ask questions to waste time, and getting him to stay on the subject and learn was incredibly, incredibly difficult. So I do sympathize with his teachers. But guys, if you get a chance to watch any of the Jolly videos, please watch them. They are hilarious. I think the best he does is when they just dump him in a place and literally run away and abandon him there. Because he's so adorable and because he's so just, I'm going to spit out these random Korean words, no matter if the pronunciation or the actual word itself is correct. I'm going to spit these words out at these people and see what comes up. And the Koreans just love him because he's just flaming adorable. And so he learns through being immersed in the situation with no escape, and it seems to really work for him, and it's incredibly, incredibly amusing for me. So yeah, I highly recommend those. Those are good videos to watch. Anna asks, how did I first become interested in Korean culture? And that she has me to thank for introducing her to K-dramas. Haha, you're very welcome. K-dramas are a completely different storytelling format to most of what you'll find in the Western world. So they take a bit of getting used to, but also the tropes are really fun to play with, even though I find a lot of things highly annoying. I gravitate more to the K-dramas that don't have those things, but they're definitely well worth watching for getting the different cultural input. It was mainly just because I was learning Korean, because usually when I start to learn a language, I want to know more about the culture of the place. And also, as you're learning, quite often you'll be learning by videos, right? So you sort of imbibe the culture via videos, whether or not you actually intended to do so in the first place. So that's sort of how I first became interested in it, because it's quite different from Western culture as well. That made it doubly interesting to me. So yeah, that was the start of it. Rebecca says she feels very honoured that I answered her questions. Yeah, I try to answer all the questions if I see them and if I remember them. I don't always remember them. So yeah, I usually try to write them down. I was very badly organized this morning because I was thrown off by the fact that that YouTube was not in fact ready like it had assured me it was. And also the fact that either I keep wanting to say that I made a mistake, but I don't think I did. Usually I Google the times for the lives and Google tells me exactly the right time. I've never had it not tell me the right time, but in this case it did. So in these days I'm going to go by my world clock app that I have now on my phone, and hopefully I will not confuse everyone again into thinking it's an hour later than it actually is. So I was discombobulated completely this morning and I did not write down those questions that I would normally. So I'm very pleased with myself. I'm very pleased that I remembered. I think I did really well. Pat on the back for me. I will try and finish up in about 10 minutes, I think. And that'll give us a little bit over an hour for the live. Next live I do will be on YouTube. It will have been sorted out that time. The responses I had when I asked about it were overwhelmingly in favor of being on YouTube. So I want to be able to offer people that, because anyone from any platform can watch a YouTube video live or otherwise you can watch it, whereas a lot of people can't use Facebook, it seems, or just don't have Facebook, and I can understand that Facebook's not the best platform all the time. So I want to be able to have the most, you know, be as widely available as possible, because when I do stuff like this, it's, well, so that I can reach out to you guys and, you know, say hello and talk about the books or questions you have, or just, you know, stay in touch, because you guys really cheer me up a lot of the times, especially on the social media, and that just seeing you guys either talk about my books or post memes or talk about other stuff that you're interested in, it's a lot of fun for me. I like seeing that there's a community there. So this is sort of me trying to do a little bit of giving back for that, to just make myself available every now and then to do a live, whatever the heck this is. I call them Q&As, but I'm not sure exactly what they are. I'm going to have to start getting more organized about it and try and talk about actual topics, and just answer questions as they come as well. So yeah, we'll do that. Ash asks, do I have advice for someone who wants to write and that they've been wanting to write for a long time and are now nearly 30 and want to dive in, but how do you start? If it's a thing of actually starting and not just continuing, that is hard. It depends on whether you're a really organized person or a disorganized person, because if you're really organized, you might want to create notes and ideas and write things like that down beforehand. For me, I'm a pantser, so just sitting down and starting to write was the best possible thing that I could do. Just getting an idea for a scene or a couple of characters and just writing down their dialogue and just starting the scene from there and seeing where it takes me. So that was, for me, that was the thing. I had to actually just sit down and start writing, because otherwise all I did was create lists of character traits and character looks and that sort of thing, and that doesn't start you writing. For some people who are plotters and who think of a plot first before the characters, that's probably going to work for you and going to be really useful. It wasn't for me. Sometimes you just literally need to sit down and just write a scene, write a short little weird thing that you don't know what is or where it's going. Just, yeah, if you possibly can, just sit down and try and write something. I think that's the best advice I can give for that. And then try and do that the next day and the next day. Give yourself a little goal, maybe. I'm going to write a scene this week, or I'm going to write a character interaction this week, or I'm going to write a bit of dialogue this week. And then just play with it. Have a bit of fun with it. Start trying to analyze when you watch stuff or when you read stuff. Start trying to analyze what it is you like about that scene or that character, and then think about how you could recreate that or make it different for your own amusement. So yeah, I think that would be my best advice. Just sit down and try something. Aha, Karen says my nail colors are intriguing and can I hold our hand up to the camera? Yes, aren't they gorgeous? There's a little heart there. It's my sort of Alice in Wonderland nails. They're all red except for just that one little finger that has the heart on it. Yeah, I saw it somewhere on the internet and I asked the lady who does my nails for me. I have a lady who does my nails. How fancy is that? Yeah, I asked her if she could do something like that, and she could, and I love it so much. I like having my nails done in bright colors these days because it's fun when I look down at the keyboard as I type. Kristen asks, will Zero be doing the audio for any of the books past 4? Yes, she's doing all of them. She's finished the recording of book 5, which is up for pre-order on Tantor's website, but may not be up on Audible yet. And she's working on 6 at the moment with 7 and 8 to follow. So you guys will have up to book 8 this year in audio. 9 and 10, I'm guessing, will be sometime next year, but if I'm very, very good about getting them written, maybe Tantor will be very, very good about getting them produced even more quickly. So yeah, she'll be doing those. She's apparently very much enjoying them, and I'm very much enjoying having her doing them. So, all right, I'll try and get to the last of these questions, and then I'll start wrapping it up. Susan says that whenever she learns a new thing, she imagines some outlandish scenario wherein somehow a crisis happens and she's now empowered to save the day thanks to her new knowledge. Yeah, that's a thing I do as well, honestly. That's probably about the best use I've made of any of the things that I've learned. Courtney asks, do I know when the next 2 Monarchies books are coming? I was meant to write one this year, but I had to slow down my production a little bit. So next year, early, we should have Susan's book out. I think that's the last of the covers I'm getting from Jenny. So yeah, we'll have that as well. I'll be getting the cover toward the end of the year. I just wanted to get the between ones done first. Susan also says that her mother likes to watch a Korean reality show called Return of the Superman. It's a show about dads parenting their toddlers without mum around. Ah, one of the dads is from Australia and speaks Korean very well. Is that Sam Hamilton? I've seen him out and about. He's got an actual more of a Queenslander accent, which is why I remember him particularly. I like listening to him talk because he just looks so laid back, and I don't know, he's got a real Queenslander Australian vibe. Such fun. Esther says, yeah, Ollie's the best from Jolly. Yeah, he's the one I was talking about earlier who has difficulties learning. Becca says, speaking of K-dramas, what's your dream cast if City Between was a K-drama? I've always known that Park Bo-gum is the Jin-young I always wanted. So I have a very good idea about that. I would kind of love to see Athalis as the... actually, a few people could play Athalis. The Professor Bear from Little Women, one of the older versions, is very, very similar to what I imagine Athalis, but I also think that Nils... what's his name? Mads Nicholson? Mads somebody could do a really good Athalis. I think he would be a wonderful Athalis. For Zero, I'm not entirely sure. And Pet, there's an Australian girl who I would love to see play her, but I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry. She has the perfect face and the accent's right, and I would love to see her play Pet, but I can't remember her name. So for Dreamcast, that's about it. Jin Young's the one I have the clearest because I literally stole his face from Park Bo-gum because I needed some expressions and I'd seen him doing the exact expressions that I needed in a K-drama, so he just fit really well. Heather says she prefers YouTube and that she sometimes takes breaks from Facebook and have missed a few lives because of that. Yeah, there's a lot of people who do that and I can understand it, so that's one of the big reasons why I wanted to spread out a bit to YouTube. Aaron asked, did I incorporate any of my personality into Pet? Yes, quite a lot. There's a lot of overlap there. There is with a lot of my characters, but with Pet, in a lot of ways more than others. Between the City Between series, started out really as my way of working through a lot of things that were happening at the time in my life, a lot of very horrible and uncomfortable things that were happening. It gave me an outlet to be able to process a lot of those things. So yeah, Pet managed to catch a lot of me on the way. AC says, yes, start with writing a page a day and keep it up. I agree with that. Not necessarily that it has to be a page, but doing some every day is definitely a good way to start and keep writing. Kimberly asks, how soon will we find out Pet's true name? At the end of book 8. Actually, no, you won't find it out, but you'll find out that it's known. So probably book 9? Yeah, book 8 or 9. Something like that. Ash says, thanks for the advice and that you'll definitely give it a go. It's a wonderful idea. Ah, that's good. Have fun. I mean, overall, just most of all, have fun. But it's meant to be fun. Esther asks, will we learn more about Jin sister Tia? A little bit, yeah. Yeah, there will definitely be more about that. Hello, Industar. Yeah, my fingers are playing hearts inspired. Yes. Kristen asks, how long is Zero's hair? He's basically got a buzz cut. He has really short hair. There's actually a photo I use as a reference to show, but it's actually of a Korean boy. So the coloring is completely different, but the haircut is exactly the same. He's basically got a buzz cut. It's probably about this long and a little bit spiky and entirely white. A lot of people think of him as having long hair. So you guys can feel free to picture him how you want. I'm totally fine with that, but in terms of canon and what I formed him as, he's got short hair. Yeah, I like short hair, and also I thought it suited him. So yeah, that's what he got. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start wrapping it up because I've come to the end of comments and questions. They do take a while to filter in, so if I miss your question right at the end, I'm sorry. It's Facebook doesn't like me very much, and it gives me questions and comments very slowly. So yeah, next live, I'm going to try and do another one in maybe 2 weeks, just so that I can actually make sure I've got the YouTube stuff all sorted out, ready to go. I don't know if it'll be shorter because of it being so close. I don't think so, though. I think it'll be about the same length, and I'll try and incorporate a lot of what I meant to do into the new style of broadcast and whatever. I'll try and give you guys a chance to pop some topics you'd like me to talk about while everybody's thinking of questions or just wanting to know about stuff like that. So I'll do a little bit more chuntering as well as answering questions so that you guys can hear about writing related stuff or trope related stuff that you've been interested in maybe knowing my opinion on or just wanting to hear some discussion on. So yeah, we'll try that out for next time. And in the meantime, I guess it's Friday for most of you guys. So have a great weekend. I'm going to have a great weekend. I have some new corduroy pants and they're so comfortable. So I'm going to be I'm just going to be sort of rocking these pants while I go out to write and be very comfortable. Anna, last question from Anna, who asked what time do I usually do lives. I'm going to try and do it at this time most of the time from now on, because if I do it on what's most people's Friday nights, then if they need to sleep in the next day because it's later in their country, they can. So I figure that makes it more accessible to more people. So yeah, we'll do it that way from now on. So probably in about 2 weeks from today at almost the exact same time, I will try and do that. Yeah. So I will see you guys out and about on the interwebs. Thank you for tuning in today and for all your questions. It was a lot of fun to answer them. Hopefully one day soon I'll be able to get some other authors on when they